All right, good morning, Warhawks. This is Colonel Wilson with episode 40 of Freeform Friday. Welcome back. Sorry we missed you last week. We had a long Memorial Day weekend and just took a little downtime, but you'll see we got a couple fresh faces here with us today. Excited to talk to both of these two individuals and get to know them a little bit better as we talk along some other issues as well. But you'll see that my normal wingman, Command Chief, Mike Morgan, is currently on leave. He's back home with the family, trying to get his family moved here. But we got Chief Lewis here from the 320 Training Squadron over in Basic Military Training, Superintendent over there, who's here this morning helping out. Not just this morning, but he's been helping out and will be helping out all next week as well. So, Chief, would you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
Something about your family as well.
Hey, Chief Master Sergeant Gabriel Lewis here. It's good to be here with the Wing Commander and Senior Master Sergeant here. Been in the Air Force for 23 years. My background is administration, 3F5, 3F5 Unite. But I've served at different, multiple levels. I've got some special duties stink on me, military training instructor in my past. Well, as far as family goes, I have a 12-year-old daughter. She's my little homie, is what I like to call her. She keeps me young. She keeps me relevant. She keeps me in vans and the different little style mechanisms that she has out there for me. But nevertheless, hey, glad to be here. This is a great opportunity for us to discuss some topics that we've laid out and to get to know our wingman here a little better. So, sir, that's all I have.
Yeah, you mentioned your little homie. I have three, I guess. They're not so little anymore, but they keep me humble. Yeah. My head never ever gets too big between them and the spouse. So anyway, welcome, Chief. Great to have you up here working with the team. But as you mentioned, we have a special guest who's got a great story. Quick story, I was at the Security Forces Apprentice Course graduation. That's probably about a month ago now or thereabouts. And I had an opportunity to sit down just in the ceremony, and I sat down next to Senior Master Sergeant Shonda Conger, who's here with us today, if I could speak. And we just got to chatting, and she had a great story. And as we're sitting there with our masks on, watching all these defenders, about 100 plus, graduate, go up across the stage and get their berets and get excited to go back in the Operational Air Force. She was just telling me a little bit about her life story. I was like, man, I got to get you on Freeform Friday just to tell a little bit about your story. So excited to have you here, Senior. 343rd Training Squadron, Apprentice Course. I know it's near and dear to your heart. Would you talk a little bit about what you do for our defenders and for the 37 Training Wing here, and a little bit about your family as well?
Absolutely. Thanks for allowing me to be here, Chief. Nice to meet you. I too have a 12-year-old daughter that I call my little homie. She has various color, sizes, shapes of vans. So I'm right there with you.
This guy.
Yes, I'm definitely in it. So I have the privilege of working in the Security Forces Academy. It's my second time there. The first time around I was a staff sergeant instructor at the Security Forces Apprentice Course and then the Security Forces Officer Course. And now I am still an instructor. I still teach, and I am the superintendent of all Security Forces Advanced Skills Training. So everything from 7 level to the Security Forces Intermediate and the advanced courses, and even our folks up at Fort Leonard Wood, I am responsible to them. So, I have a great team, and I really love what I do there. Just to watch our current leaders grow, and then to walk down the hall and get to go to that graduation and see our future leaders. It's inspiring. It's kind of hard to not be motivated in the 343rd.
Yeah, no doubt. So it sounds like teacher, educator at heart, it sounds like to me, but also leader. It's pretty cool that you mentioned, because everything you mentioned from airmen to NCOs to officers. So you're touching, like you said, defenders across the entire spectrum of learning there. It must be a pretty great opportunity. But so COVID, you've been doing it in COVID for a while. But COVID's looked a little bit different for you, I think. It's a pretty great story. So we all like to think we've had challenges through COVID, and we've experienced hardships and been locked in our houses and done telework and this and that. Our mission doesn't really lend itself to that here, right? We are what I call a tactile mission. We have to have instructors and we have to have students, and they need to be there in the same environment, because a lot of what you're doing is hands-on. And it just cannot be done through virtual means. So you've been there, you've been grinding, you've been helping produce defenders of all sorts. But you talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you went through to get there.
So, I try to, frame it around where I am now, but when I look back in July last year, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I'm like, man, the first big C is COVID, and the second big C is one that I think none of us really want to hear about, right? And I'll tell you, first I have to credit my doctors and the staff at BNC that took care of me. Man, they were so good. You always hear a little bit of that vitamin M. I was begging for it. That's, some of the weakest and hardest moments were, if I could just have a Motrin right now, I'm sure I would feel better,
Yeah.
right? So, but to have that care gave me the strength to get up every day knowing that I was being taken care of there. And so for me, I had surgery. I went through chemo, and every day I woke up was a day that I was trying to put my boots on. And there's some people, my husband being one of them, I was like, maybe you should put your boots on today. I'm like, oh, but if I do, then I get to go be with all those defenders that you're talking about, right? And it's hard not to be motivated with them. But I'll tell you, the story isn't really a story about strength, sir. A couple weeks ago, someone had mentioned to me that, man, you were so strong. Just the image of you in this organization. We watched you go through all those things, and you kept coming here every day. And I'm like, that's just a part of the story. The other part of the story are the days that I'd get to the first set of stairs in the landing of Carter Hall, and I'd have to stop and take a break. And that staff sergeant would come and know that I was taking a break and talk to me and walk slow up the steps with me and go on about their day teaching our airmen. And I would, go on to the next point where I was, not as strong as I wanted to be. And so I really think that my story is more about vulnerability, right? More about being okay with not being strong all the time. And that's hard for me to say because I'm a Texan first, right? We're the best at everything. And and I'm a defender, right? And so there's this culture of, strength that comes with both of those things, and probably being a Conger too, right? And in reality, it is more the ability to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to lean on others. And so that's one of the biggest lessons I learned. I learned how to shake my head, which was pretty cool. And I think I rocked it, but I also learned how to say, I need help, or I can't put my boots on today. And I will tell you, what a amazing family I have. My husband and my little homie and my 19-year-old homie, she's definitely a caretaker at heart. And having my family closer because I'm from Texas. And then when you go through stuff like that, you really see who some of your friends are, right? The friends that I cried to because my eyebrows weren't growing in, or the friends that came over and just cooked me dinner, cut my grass, or got me an ice cream from the ice cream truck, right? Those are the folks that were there for me, that allow me to be vulnerable, allow me to be weak, so that I could work and push through that so I could be strong. And so I think the strength is born in that weakness, right? And that system that you have around me. And what a great place to have that, right? I had a great team at work that loved on me, took care of me, and a great team at home that did the same. And they really allowed me to put me uniform when I come in every day. And I'll be forever grateful for that.
I think about adversity, right? You went through a lot. And I think about adversity and the way that it can shape us, the way it can make us stronger. And I love how your analogy there that you had to get vulnerable, and you kind of got vulnerable and found your vulnerability to get stronger in the end, if you think about it. So that's pretty powerful. And the other thing that resonates with me is we talk about our instructors. We talk about our personnel here in the 37th Training Wing. We call it selectively manned because we're shaping the Air Force. And it's the passion that they put into their mission, and they forget about it. They forget about themselves, and they do it to the detriment of themselves and their family. It sounds like you learned a valuable lesson about that, where at the same time, you needed something. You needed to be grounded in your passion, right, to help you refocus on yourself. So, man, that's really powerful. Chief, any thoughts?
Yeah. So as I listen to you, my heart actually kind of start beating a little harder because it's a reminder that regardless of the uniform, regardless of the standards, the ranks, the different things that we what I like to call show muscle, we're still human beings beneath the uniform. We can't get so stuck in the everyday business of the mission that we forget that there are mothers, brothers, sisters, fathers behind this uniform, and they have very real lives outside of what we do every single day. That's an amazing story. So good on you for pushing through, and good on your team for helping you make it through. Into the instructor piece, whether it be military training instructor, whether you're tech training, one of the things I always say is there are no average NCOs off the streets of the Air Force in the 37 Training Wing, because there are thousands of trainees waiting to come into the Air Force. They're waiting to come to basic training. The thousands of trainees are going to go through basic training to tech training. But there are not thousands of NCOs waiting to be MTIs and tech training instructors. Selectively manned to come here and are responsible for the everyday caring and feeding of young men and women transitioning into this profession of arms, this thing that we call the United States Armed Services. So everything that you're saying is a reminder of how important, not just what we do here in the military, but how important these NCOs and senior NCOs and the 37 training. I mean, everyone for that matter, but they're at the tip of the spear of what we're doing. So good on you.
I absolutely agree, Chief. Sometimes we get caught up in that, right? I have to set this image for my students so they only see, that professional Air Force standard and the NCO that they strive to be. Sometimes we forget to allow them to see that we are just like them. We came from some of the same backgrounds. We came through some of the same struggles. We have some of the same fears. Yeah. And allowing ourselves to be vulnerable in that sometimes and share that with our students, I think makes us stronger, but it definitely makes them stronger, gives them the confidence to push through, their hard times. I mean, I remember going through basic training, right? And it was not all fun. So if, to get to see a little bit more of that human side, to give hope and courage to push through.
Colonel Wilson had the honor of doing a promotion ceremony for Major Braddock here at the wing, and his kids were, well, congratulations, Major, but his kids were running around the conference room and just enjoying everything. They were looking at the cake and they're looking at the screens and just having a good old time. And Chief Morgan and I was talking on text message, and we were talking about how cool it was to see that. But something that, the great thing about having family members amongst us in those events when we can is it reminds us not to take ourselves too seriously in this uniform. The wide-eyed children, the spouses who want to hear what the commander is saying, because they want to hear how the decisions that are being made at their spouse's job or their brother's job or whatever is affecting them at home. So that's just a reminder to leaders. Just understand that your decisions, your actions, your attitudes are carried home to these young men and women who we lead every single day.
Yeah, great point on both ends. And what it makes me think is we go through and we look at the pipeline. We call it a pipeline. Yeah. And we deliver, I even hear the term, we deliver a product. And our product are our students, our trainees. But at the end of the day, it's not about the numbers. It's the impact you have on each one of them. Right. You don't know who's going to be going through that class. It could be the next Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Who could be the next Chief of Staff of the Air Force. You have no idea. The next CEO of a large company. It could be a successful actor model. Who knows? But it's the imprint that you leave on them. And each one of them in their own unique way, that's really what matters. Yeah. And so you clearly are doing that. Would you mind, Senior, just giving us a quick update on your health? Everything's good. I think it's a good news story. At this point, it's a great news story, right?
Absolutely. I am so blessed. I am so healthy, and I am, ready for that PT test that we're going to talk about later. I am really doing well. I'm growing my hair back, as you can tell.
That's good.
I am really doing well, sir.
It's a great place. That's good. That's good. Well, Senior, I can't help but notice you mentioned basic military training, and we talked about fighting through, and so here we are. We're going to transition a little bit to talk about basic military training. We've got a pretty significant announcement that came out yesterday in that we will be transitioning back to an in-person graduation beginning on the 22nd of July, and there's some certain stipulations. We have begun posturing our trainees that are going to be graduating in that week group to send information home to the family to be able to collect the information that they need. So because we are still fighting through COVID, and that is the reality, is that a large portion of our trainee population is still not vaccinated, and the vaccination is really the final safety measure for what we needed to do in addition to all the other CDC protocols. And so there's still a large portion that have not been vaccinated, and we'll go through that process. We are actually vaccinating now as they arrive. For those that are volunteers that arrive to basic military training, they're being vaccinated. However, that takes a little bit of time between the 2 series and the 14 days. So, but as we start to move in that direction, we get safer and safer and have lower and lower COVID positivity rates we look at in in-person graduation. The stipulation will be, in the beginning, we'll have two individuals, 2 invitees per student that's graduating, per airman and guardian that graduates, and then they will be required to have their vaccinations to be able to attend. Now, I know that's the family members. Now, I know that's very controversial. I understand that. But our charter here, our mission here, is to produce safe, in the safest possible way, airmen and guardians that we possibly can. Over the last, and if you want to proof of record, over the last 16 months, we have had not one single trainee or airman trainee student hospitalized with any kind of significant illness. Not one. Out of thousands and thousands and thousands, we have not had one. So our judgment's been pretty good so far. And if this appears to be a little bit conservative, that's fine. That's your perception. We feel it's right on target in terms of risk and risk acceptance. The bottom line is we keep those young men and women, your sons and daughters, safe. And we feel like this is the safest way to do that. That the stream will still be, the live stream for the graduation will still be there. And for those that get vaccinated, we would love to have you. We look forward to seeing you. But we are going to insist on vaccinations for all attendees, and that's just the way it's going to be for now. Now, hopefully, we can transition out of that as things continue to improve across the nation, across San Antonio. But that's the way we're headed. And so, also for those trainees that become graduates and airmen and guardians that have been vaccinated themselves, they will be allowed off-base liberty on the Thursday after graduation. For those that have not been vaccinated, they will be allowed on-base liberty. And so family members that are able to get into the graduation ceremony with vaccinations will be able to spend time with their trainee, decide regardless of what their trainee, their graduate decision they make on vaccinations, they'll be able to spend time with them either on or off the post, off the installation. So moving quickly, I think what we've done here is in line with the other services in large part. And so we're very confident, we're very happy with the decision we made. We're very excited to see families start to return back to basic military training graduation. We're also excited for the city of San Antonio because we know that those families that come in bring economic stimulus with them. And so they'll stay at local hotels, they'll eat at local restaurants, they'll be on base and just be a part of the community and the fabric of the community as they come and go. And so we look forward to having you all back. So thank you all for your understanding. We understand we're not making everybody happy. Our goal is not to make everybody happy, but our goal is to protect our trainees, our airmen, and make them as safe as we possibly can as they go through the training pipeline, as they enter the operational Air Force, and they go forward and do great things for our Air Force. So, any thoughts on that, either of you?
Yes, sir. I mean, what it boils down to is, as we've been talking about, the nature of the profession of arms is, we value every single individual for what they bring to the fight, whether it be their strengths, weaknesses, areas that needs to be improved, whatever the case may be, but to include their safety, security, and sanity. It may not be comfortable. It may not be the popular answer for those who want to come in. We understand it. We got it. We went through basic training. Our families were here. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that our number one priority is the safety, security, and sanity of our young men and women graduating.
Great. Thanks, Chief. Very well said. Very well said. All right. Well, speaking of the well-being of our airmen, the physical well-being and their physical readiness is something that we think about quite a bit too. And our PT standards, we got some news over the last week. PT standards are changing a little bit. Chief, you want to talk about that?
PT. Hey. PT's coming back. PT Taylor coming back 1 July with some modifications to the standards. It's been out in email. It's been talked about in some of your commanders' calls and some of your formations. But the bottom line is that the PT test is going to be three components. The run portion is still going to be worth 60 points. The muscular fitness portion is going to be 20 points each, which means the the waist measurement is removed from the physical assessment, but we still have the run, we still have the muscular fitness portion, and the age ranges scaled down from 10 years to 5-year increments now. That information's out there. You can get with your organization leadership. I'm pretty sure our services personnel can help us out as necessary. But the bottom line is, we are a military force, and one of our strengths is our ability to be fit to fight. It's not just a matter of muscles. It's not just a matter of being able to run. It's a lifestyle that produces clear thinking, healthy, ready men and women ready to take our nation's business abroad as necessary. So.
I find it ironic that you're talking about the guy that has all the muscles is talking about muscle. So you need a little more time in the gym, Chief. So yes, obviously, physical readiness is something that's on your mind.
Yes, sir.
So the one caveat I want to mention there is that the Second Air Force has released a couple NOTAMs over the period of the last couple of years that apply certain PT standards to our new trainees that come in as they go through basic military training, and to our airmen in training over in technical training. Those standards still apply. They're still in place. But for all permanent party personnel, the 1 July and the new standards will go into effect. I don't know about YouTube. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but in this live stream. But for me, a little older, I was happy to see the new standards and the new increments. I'll take the extra.
I'll take that too, sir. I'm good.
No. I'm not old.
No, like I said, I'm not referring to anybody else. This is all about me here. But thanks, Chief. Yeah. So we're excited to see PT come back and get back after it. Hey, also I wanted to say there's a lot going on in our wing and on our installation. Our public affairs team just works tirelessly, and I just can't thank them enough as I look at Miss Brittany Warwick, who's our chief of social media here back behind the camera. We have been working very hard, not only through live streams like this and Freeform Friday. We've sent out Hawk Talks. We do a bunch of different things to try and get the word out. But one thing that's out there now is the Air Force Connect app. So this is a standard app that the Air Force has produced quite some time ago. The challenge is that it has to be populated. People have to put time and energy into keeping the app up so it's meaningful. I want to let everybody know, I'm going to kind of push them towards that app. They can download the Air Force Connect app at the Apple App Store or Google Play. And then once you go in there to the unit, just go to the 37 Training Wing. And we've started putting our strategic calendar and a listing of events and listing of activities out on that app. We're really excited about it. That's just one more way. You can enable push notifications so that if something's going on or if there's a new update on things that's going on in the wing, boom, it just pops up in your phone. You can read it, swipe, move on with life, right? And so I think that's, we talk about the younger generation. I don't even think it's a younger generation thing. I know I like that. Like, hey, that's an easy way to receive information. Good, let's move on. So that's out there. Again, that is the Air Force Connect app. Go to any means of downloading the app the same way you download a standard app and just type in 37 Training Wing and it should populate for you. So great work by our public affairs team to get that fielded. Also, we had a quick shout out. We had some visitors last week. We had the 2nd Air Force Vice Commander, Colonel Brian Stumpy, who's actually an old friend of mine. We grew up as civil engineers together. We've had like 3 different assignments together where we followed each other. So it's good to see Brian back. He and Chief Veazey, the 2nd Air Force Command Chief, came in. They did a full immersion over the course of 2 days, had the opportunity to have dinner with them one night, and it was just great to see them back. They also made a whole bunch of promises to a whole bunch of people. We're going to expect them to hold up those promises. We're going to hold them accountable for that. Just kidding. But it was great to have them here and with the team. I got great feedback from both of them. It's hard to not come in here and just be completely impressed. As we talked about selectively manned, we talked about the passion that our personnel have for their mission. That came through in spades with those two, and they just said thank you, and they wanted me to pass along their many thanks.
Yeah.
So with that.
And thanks to they stopped by the 323rd to sign our heritage wall, so
there you
appreciate
go.
that.
Perfect. Hey, and we had Memorial Day, we had a Memorial Day that message that Chief Morgan and I pushed out. In fact, we were sitting over at the 343rd Training Squadron jailhouse, as it's affectionately referred to by their airmen. And so we talked about that. One highlight from Memorial Day, one event that happened was the 37 Training Support Squadron, our tech training group, held what they call the Murph Challenge. It was referring to Navy SEAL Michael Murphy, who died in Kunar province back in 2005 as part of a mission. I think it was called Operation Red Wing. There's a movie about it. It has Mark Wahlberg and others. So thanks to the 37 Training Support Squad, as they did that, I know a lot of our organizations had Memorial Day events that were going on. I just remember those that have fallen. I couldn't help but notice that the anniversary of D-Day is coming up here this weekend as well. That's probably another great thought to those that gave their lives to ensure our freedom and our way of life. So, and then we have partnerships. I wanted to throw a shout out to IAFA, our Inter-American Air Forces Academy, who's partnered with Army South an event at Fort Benning and MacDill, where they are serving as translators for the Colombian students that are down there cooperating in a joint exercise. Pretty cool that IAFA got detailed to go do that mission. I know that's a passionate group, and anytime they can be mission effective and they can go down there and contribute, especially to a combatant command like Southcom, I know they're all in at all times. And so thanks to our teammates at IAFA. Chief, we're going to go over and see IAFA at DLI here in a couple minutes, so we'll thank them in person. And then Chief, do you have something? Go ahead.
The beauty of what we're doing with our partner nations, it can't be overstated. Me having serving in the Pacific in different areas overseas, I have found that our partner nations, coalition partners, value what we bring to their fight. Because there are aspects of what we do as a United States Armed Services that a lot of our partner nations are trying to implement in their own formations. If I was to speak specifically to the professional nature of our enlisted force, no matter what the service is, we are unmatched in our ability to professionalize our enlisted force, to empower us in an effort to further execute the mission. So it's great what IAFA is doing. It's just speaking to the competence that we have across the international spectrum. So good on you all for all that you're doing.
Yeah, and I mean it's easy we think about DLI, ELC, Defense Language Institute, English Language Center, and IAFA and what they're doing. But our Tech Training Schoolhouse has international students that come through quite a bit. We have about 300 students that go through there. And I have not personally, but my boss has talked to combatant commanders and numbered Air Force commanders and asked them, like, hey, what do you want us to do? We talk about this all the time. Like, what's the value? Is it sending our personnel out abroad as mobile training teams? And unilaterally, the answer is always no. It's the cultural awareness and bringing them back here to our schoolhouse and giving them that training, but also letting them see what the American way of life is like. And so again, we'll refer back to Memorial Day and those that gave their lives for that way of life. But that's the biggest power multiplier, force multiplier that they have, is bringing them back here. So it's really cool to see it all come full circle. But And final note, on the modernization front, our priorities are people, modernization, partnerships. I think we've talked about people and we've talked about partnerships now. How about a little modernization to kind of tie things up? We have our learning Wi-Fi team that's here. It's a contract team that's here expanding the reach of our learning Wi-Fi system across our campus. Right now it's primarily focused in basic military training, but we also have, it also impacts our technical training. We have also commercial wireless that's being advertised through our partners in the 502nd out for our IAFA and our DLI. Senior, we were talking a little bit about Wi-Fi and the force enabler that it is. You mentioned Camp Bullis, and you mentioned over at Carter Hall that the Wi-Fi systems there have been a godsend in terms of helping augment your mission.
Absolutely, sir. We use Wi-Fi whether in the classroom or just to enable us to take our tablets outside of the classroom and bring our training out into the environment. And sometimes when we need to just flex in our classrooms and disconnect, it allows us to do that and go somewhere else. And especially at Camp Bullis, to have those capabilities there, it keeps my team there and all the teams there connected with us here at Lackland, but it gives us that capability. We're extending that modernization through our tablets and the other tech that we use to Camp Bullis instead of keeping it centralized here at Lackland. So it has definitely been a force multiplier for us, sir.
That's great. It's great feedback for us to hear that. And it's great feedback to know, hey, we're investing our resources where it actually helps to enhance our mission. And Chief, having been over in the 323rd, and you're Major Kowski over there, who has been the guy when it comes to the Space Force and the Guardians, that learning Wi-Fi system and the tablet system that they're using over there to help educate and train our guardians has been worth its weight in gold over there as well. So
yeah, I mean, we now military training instructors are also carrying tablets as well.
That's right.
So I mean, having Wi-Fi, having the ability to connect, obviously it's just a force multiplier.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not shy to say that we're in the process right now of starting to field tablets for our trainees as well.
That's right.
So you want to talk about a world-class, modernized training environment. We talk about Camp Bullis, we talk about our defenders as examples, we're talking about our guardians. We're now starting to talk about all of our trainees as they come in to receive tablets and have that training, hands-on right there. So anyway, hey, I've really enjoyed talking to you both this week, and we look forward to seeing you around campus and continually being part of this mission. Obviously, seeing your story, I got a little misty-eyed, couldn't help it, but it's really not what it was about, and that wasn't your purpose. Your purpose is to motivate, and not only did you get me a little misty, but you got me motivated too, and that's I just can't thank you enough for it. Chief, thanks for being a great partner this week. Really appreciate it. So and to our families, thank you all so much for your partnership. It's your sons and daughters that we continually strive to take care of. We understand the strong desire to come back to an in-person graduation, and we're excited for the 22nd of July. Make sure you get that 22nd of July, and to see you all coming back. But with that is the conclusion of episode 40. We are out. Warhawks trained to win.